Hello and welcome to our edition of Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. We start with the headlines. In the eastern DR Congo, the M23 rebel group has forcibly deported over 1,500 people to Rwanda, raising alarming concerns of potential war crimes. His death shocked a continent. More than 60 years after Patrice Lumumba's assassination, Belgium may put a 92-year-old former diplomat on trial for his alleged role in the killing, a long-awaited moment in a fight for justice that continues to haunt DR Congo. Senegal puts itself at the heart of the race for innovative technologies in the financial industry, but a recent regulatory crackdown in West Africa has left many users locked out of vital services. But we start with this new Human Rights Watch report. The M23 rebel group in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has forcibly deported over 1,500 people to Rwanda. The act, allegedly backed by Congo's neighbor Rwanda, could constitute a war crime and is raising international alarm bells. Emmett Livingston in Kinshasa has more.
An investigation by Human Rights Watch released on Wednesday has found that M23 rebels forcibly transferred over 1,500 people from eastern Congo into Rwanda last month. The rebels rounded up about 2,000 people near the city of Goma on May 12th. Over several days in mid-May, over 1,500 of those detained people were forced across the border into Rwanda, even though, according to Human Rights Watch, many of them were Congolese. They were transferred from a transit camp run by the UN Refugee Agency, the UNHCR, which interviewed the people being deported but didn't give them a choice about returning to Rwanda. Human Rights Watch says the forcible transfer constitutes a war crime under the Geneva Convention. The M23 is a group led by Congolese Tutsis, which, together with Rwandan forces, captured the two largest cities in eastern Congo at the start of the year. The M23's principal ideological enemy is the FDLR, a militia founded by Rwandan Hutus who participated in the 1994 Rwandan genocide. The M23 seized and transferred the people in an area that is a stronghold of the FDLR. It's not clear where or in what conditions the transferred people are now being held in Rwanda. Neither the M23, the Rwandan government, nor the UNHCR responded to our requests for comment.
And staying in the DRC, Justice Minister Constant Mutamba has resigned just 48 hours after lawmakers lifted his immunity, opening the door to prosecution. He's accused of embezzling funds from a 39 million prison project in Kisangani. Appointed just over a year ago, Mutamba denies any wrongdoing, but his resignation has now been accepted by President Félix Tshisekedi. More than 6 decades after the assassination of Congolese independence hero Patrice Lumumba, Belgium is moving to put a 92-year-old former diplomat on trial for his alleged role in the killing. A 2001 parliamentary inquiry found Belgium bore moral responsibility for Lumumba's death, prompting an official apology to his family and the Congolese people. Pierre Benazet and Alex Le Bourdon report.
This is a moment which will make history, according to the family of Patrice Lumumba, the former Congolese prime minister assassinated in January 1961 with the complicity of Belgium, the former colonial power. The children of Patrice Lumumba can now hope to see Etienne d'Avignon, a former Belgian diplomat, prosecuted in front of a criminal court here in Brussels. 14 years after the original complaint, he is the sole survivor among the 10 names that figured in the original filing. And according to the attorney of Patrice Lumumba's children, this is a moment where Belgium will take a further step in the confrontation with its colonial past.
This man, who is Belgian and who held high office in Belgium, ultimately participated in this machine within the framework of colonization. Therefore, in the position that he represents and in the diplomat that Etienne d'Avignon was, well, it was in the name of Belgium that these acts were committed.
On the square named after the assassinated former Congolese Prime Minister, the news of the possible prosecution of Etienne d'Avignon is welcomed, even though it is deemed too late by some members of the Congolese community.
This is happening after 14 years. 14 years during which Etienne d'Avignon held key positions in culture, in the state, in the European Commission and in major companies.
The man is 92 years old, and he's a member of the Belgian bourgeoisie with this whole system behind him. Do we really want to put him on trial or just do a bit of theatre?
The next hearing is scheduled for January 20th, 2026, which will give the defense the opportunity to present its case.
Outrage is growing in Kenya after police shot a 22-year-old civilian at point-blank range. The family of Boniface Kariuki and rights activists are demanding justice and calling for the officer to be charged. The shooting happened during protests in Nairobi against police brutality and is only fueling the anger. Viewer discretion is advised, as August Hackinson reports.
This video captures the moment before a civilian is shot at close range on one of Nairobi's busiest streets and in full view of journalists. The victim, Boniface Kariuki, miraculously survived and is now in intensive care. The 22-year-old was reportedly not protesting, but selling face masks.
I am very afraid, but at the same time hopeful that God can do something and that my son recovers. The police must take responsibility.
The shooting happened Tuesday as hundreds of protesters clashed with police during a second week of unrest in Kenya. It follows the death of a popular blogger found dead in police custody earlier this month. In a statement, police said the officer involved in Tuesday's shooting has been arrested. The incident has reignited outrage among Kenyans who have long witnessed police beatings and shootings of protesters.
We're here to protest the killing of our fellow Kenyans, and yet they are still killing Kenyans. A guy selling a mask was shot right now for no good reason.
The protests are unfolding against the backdrop of decades of police brutality in Kenya. For years, officers have been accused of silencing critics through extrajudicial killings. After the recent events, activists are vowing to continue protests.
Guinea's junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya made his first official visit to Ivory Coast since seizing power in a 2021 coup. He met with President Alassane Ouattara, calling political stability the cornerstone of sustainable development. Ouattara, who may seek a fourth term in October, expressed hope that Guinea too will hold peaceful elections.
I wish you every success in the current process underway in Guinea, and I reaffirm Ivory Coast's readiness to work to strengthen the historic relations of friendship, fraternity, and cooperation between our two countries. I also remain available for any advice you may wish us to provide. And of course, I hope for peace in Guinea, so that you can hold peaceful elections as we intend to do in Ivory Coast.
Dear Big Brother, I would like to share with you my deep conviction that political stability is the cornerstone of any sustainable development. Stability is essential for any nation that aspires to grow and prosper. In this sense, Ivory Coast is a fine example, Mr. President. I pledge to work in this direction and ask you, brother, for your support in this quest.
Just a few years ago, making cross-border payments was a challenge almost everywhere. And in much of Africa, it still is. With disconnected systems, sky-high fees, making it hard for both people and businesses. That's fueled a boom in fintech startups racing to bridge the gap. But a recent regulatory crackdown in West Africa has left many users blocked out of vital financial services. Our regional correspondent Caitlin Kelly reports.
Warning, service temporarily unavailable. We'll notify you when the service is restored.
Ndiemi is one of millions in West Africa who rely on fintech apps to move money. For weeks, she hasn't been able to transfer funds between Wave and Orange Money, the two main mobile money services in Senegal. The recent outages on both platforms have had real consequences for her.
I had an emergency. I needed to make a transaction between Orange Money and Wave. It was really complicated. When I opened the app, it told me the service wasn't available to me. I admit I was a bit anxious because it's an app that really helps me a lot.
Last month, the Central Bank of West African states blocked transactions from several fintech companies offering money transfer services, citing non-compliance with regulations. The crackdown targeted firms that failed to secure the required operating licenses by the central bank's deadline. The impact has been widespread. More than half of Senegal's 18 million people use mobile payment apps like Wave. As Senegalese fintechs say, they're incurring major losses. Omar Diallo works for a company that provides salary advances and says the central bank's move is unfair.
We lost a lot of money. We also lost reputation, and nothing can fix that. What we blame the central bank for today is making decisions without consulting the players involved. We're not people who resist regulation. We're people who know our business. Fintechs are our creation. They're not the central bank's creation.
Officials say, as of the end of May, only 11 fintechs in the region, 4 in Senegal and 4 in Ivory Coast, have been found to comply with the regulations of the West African Economic and Monetary Union. The Central Bank of West African States declined an interview from France 24.
Now, this update on the next Africa Cup of Nations to be held in Morocco from December 21st of this year to January 18, 2026. And the Atlas Lions are determined to replicate the Elephants' success. Meanwhile, with just 6 months to go until the event kicks off, preparations are ramping up. And after 13 months of work, one of the 9 stadiums in Fez is now ready.
The rehabilitation work on the Fez Sports Center complex lasted 13 months. So now we have a stadium that can hold 35,000 people. We now have 4 changing rooms, so we can host 2 matches on the same day. Also, we have a conference room and a press box that can hold up to 200 journalists. I can confirm with certainty that we are finally ready to host major events such as the African Cup of Nations, which will be held in Morocco in 2025.
And just a little bit over 6 months to go until the next African Cup of Nations. To conclude Eyes on Africa, thank you for watching France 24.